in my teens, this is like the 1980s in Chicago, I would have an album cover, because we still listen to vinyl. I would put aluminum foil on it. I would put baby oil. I would have a tab and a Marlboro Light. And I would get so dark, and I loved it.
You were like the vision of health. Magda from
yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. I was totally the original Magda. And that takes its toll. So there's certain damage that has happened. But let's just talk about kind of basic best things you can do for your skin.
80% of our aging comes from the sun. So if you can protect yourself from the sun, it makes a big difference.
Right.
And then the other things that probably have the most evidence in them are vitamin C's, which kind of give you a little bit extra protection of the pollution and the infrared, like the heat sun that we get.
So like a vitamin C, like serum.
My favorite. I love a serum.
Yeah. So I'm all about kind of like high-low. Because one thing I don't want anyone out there to think that there's not a product for them, that you have to spend a fortune. And listen, obviously there are probably some amazing products that are very high end, but there's probably things that anyone can get.
Right. Vitamin C, though, is one that you probably want to spend money on. And the reason being is vitamin C is really hard to stabilize. And so if it's not stabilized, it's probably you're not getting very much active ingredient.
So one thing to spend money on is vitamin C serum. And where do you just...
Most of the time they're sold in a doctor's office. And most of the big companies have them where you can get them online as well.
And I think the key is not to look younger, but the sort of best for your age. I know for me right now, Botox has been really great, and I love it.
Botox has a bad rap because it's not the Botox that's bad, it's that people injected it inappropriately. And so you can certainly get that overdone frozen look. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't want, and I have people that come back, well, I'm still moving. Yeah, that's my aesthetic, so maybe I'm not the right injector for you because I want people's face to move. I just don't want people to have deep etched in lines.
My frown is kind of gone. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. George. What are the biggest complaints that you see?
The biggest thing people will come in is they say that they look tired or they look mad. And there are two places in the face that, actually three I'll say. Number one is when people frown. Mm-hmm. The other thing is downturned mouth corners, or what they call the marionette lines. So if people look sad, that the resting bitch face is what people will call it. Right. And then under the eyes, people around the eyes, I think when people will start to look tired around the eyes. So those are the three main areas that people complain about. And lip lines, that notoriously the lines around the lips.
Because those are the biggest things, let's talk about addressing them. Let's first talk about I look tired, which half the time I look in the mirror and I look tired, and I'm not tired. Well, actually, I'm really tired, but sometimes I'm not tired. So what are the best things that you can do for, we know concealer, that's like the obvious, but what are things that you can do?
So the number one best bang for your buck is still Botox. It's easy. It makes everything, it opens up your eyes. It can give you a little bit of a brow lift. The other thing that people will see is they'll start to get a little bit of hollow under the eye. And it's very, very tricky because I have to say that is very easily fixed with filler, but it's the place that I see that is done the worst. So in our office, we keep a supply of filler reversal. So if somebody has bad filler, or God forbid would have a terrible complication from filler, I have an antidote. I can inject it in there and make it dissolve.
Botox is temporary.
Temporary. So on average, Botox will last 3 to 4 months. It's a bell curve though. Some people are shorter and some people will last a little bit longer. But on average, most people will get it 2 to 3 times a year. So, but it is, I probably will never have a wrinkle on my forehead, or I will never have a frown line because I've been doing it since I was 28 years old.
Right, so it's kind of preventative as well.
It's also preventative, and that's the trend, is we're seeing people starting this stuff earlier because they don't want to develop the wrinkles. But luckily, even if you've already started making those facial expressions, it still works on that. It won't take away a line that's etched in, but it will help soften everything. And over time, as you're not making that repetitive movement, then the wrinkle relaxes. But that's how it works, is basically we inject it into a muscle. It prevents the muscle from working as effectively. So it relaxes the muscle so you can't make a frowny face.
And is it, this is a weird question, but is it like putting just poison in your body?
So it's a purified protein of the poison. It is the most studied medicine ever. It's been FDA approved since 1989.
Wow, that's
yeah,
a long time.
it's a long time.
Shouldn't
Botox
worry-
is safe. We shouldn't worry about if it's safe or not.
People who don't have wrinkles, who are this age, probably do something. Don't feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, I think that's an important point.
So we've kind of addressed kind of the angry face. Botox is good for that. And then the tired under eyes, how do you address that?
So a lot of times, let me talk a little bit about what happens when we're aging, because we talk a lot about it's just collagen. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on underneath the skin. Number one, our bone remodels. So the orbit around our eyes starts to widen. So you start to look a little bit hollow under there.
Yep.
We start to lose fat. So why I'm losing fat in my face and it's going to my butt, I haven't quite figured out the evolutionary benefit of that.
I know.
But, you know, we have this, when we're young, we have this nice fat pad. It goes all the way from our temple, all the way in front of our ear, and then we have this nice one on our cheek. Well, they all start to separate as we age. So we lose the fat pad out here, the one here starts to descend, and we get that jowl, the dreaded jowl.
Yes.
We sometimes will lose the fat underneath our eye, or we'll get that bag where the fat pad actually herniates through the skin underneath the eye. So all of that is structural change underneath the skin. And I think when we first got fillers, all we did was fill lines. We were like, oh, it's like spackle, we'll just start filling a line, because we didn't understand exactly what was happening in the aging process. Well, over the last 10 years, now we understand.
So looking at a deeper level.
Looking at a deeper level. So now we're able to kind of custom fit to what's happening underneath the skin to build structure back. So instead of filling in a ditch, we're trying to build a bridge.
And well, how do we build
So-
how do we build
So
that
the
bridge?
biggest bang for somebody's buck when it comes to facial rejuvenation from a filler standpoint is probably mid-face, because when we lose this fat pad and we're flat here, our eyes look sunken in, we start to hang down. So this is where we always start, is kind of mid-face.
So kind of like fillers.
Cheek, but not cheek fillers, because that really got overdone. I mean, I think we saw there probably 5 years ago, Courtney Cox was somebody who went and actually had some of her fillers reversed. I saw Khloe Kardashian looked weird one time, and it was like, oh, I had bad filler, I had to have it reversed.
For some people, there's like internal pain that they think if I look a certain way, I'm going to be happy. How do you determine that?
So we call it the smile test in our office. So if somebody's not smiley and happy when they come in, they're probably not going to be smiley and happy when they leave.
How do you deal with that?
You know, I'm very honest with them, because I'm going to play a little bit of a psychologist too in the office, because you really have to talk to people. And sometimes you just get a feeling, I don't know, you just get that gut feeling like this person has other things going on, that this isn't going to help
How do
the
you feel
situation.
Let's talk about the budget.
I ask people their budget, you know, from the get-go, and if somebody doesn't have a budget to deliver them the result they need, I'm not going to just do something that they're not going to be happy with. We know cost is an issue.
And listen, I just also want to really say that I'm aware a lot of people can't do this and have real issues financially. This is luxury, and it's totally okay if you can't afford it. I mean, you and I kind of talked about this, not on camera, but kind of a beauty budget.
Yes, right. Set up what you're going to spend.
It's okay to put yourself first sometimes.
Yes.
Let's talk about kind of what's happening right now.
Sunscreen, of course, making sure we cleanse our faces morning and night. And then retin A is the #1 scientifically studied product that shows that it actually does something to the aging process.
It's just to put it all over your face?
Just put it all over your face.
Can you get that at a drugstore, or do you have to get that prescription?
Retin A, the brand name, is a prescription. There is now an over-the-counter retin A called Differin. It's an adapalene. It's a different molecule, but you can get that over-the-counter.
What is it called?
It's called Differin.
Differin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there are a lot of over-the-counter retinols that are a good starting point. Laser energy can sometimes trigger some pigment stuff, so you have to be really careful with the lasers. But what lasers are doing is we're trying to shoot, and we do this with lasers, we do this with what we call radio frequency, we do this with microneedling, so little needles that we poke under the skin. All of those things are trying to cause little tiny injuries underneath the skin so that you have a minor wound that then new collagen comes in from the inside out and forms. And those are great, and there are minor procedures that you can do as well. That microneedling is a good one.
What is
Microneedling is basically a little wand that has really sharp, tiny little needles on it that just goes into your skin. It's a little bit uncomfortable. We definitely use a little numbing medicine for people before that. And then to even take that further, there's microneedling where the needles heat at the tips, so you're trying to get that deeper collagen regeneration. There's micro-focused ultrasound that uses ultrasound to kind of heat the tissue. So there's a whole bunch of things that are really nice maintenance procedures. But if you do these things kind of as a maintenance thing before you need surgery,
it can
prolong or prevent the need for having surgery down the line.
I know for me, the idea of somebody cutting into my skin really scares me.